Ladies and gentlemen, independent Americans around the country and around the world, happy fall. We are back with our ongoing Meet the Independent Candidate series, and we are continuing to talk to independent veterans. And in this episode, we're going to talk to one of my favorite, all the way from California, joining us on the program, the great and powerful Eric Faulkner. Welcome to Independent Americans, sir.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here and looking forward to this interview.
I'm not going to pull any punches. I like you, and you're one of my favorite candidates that I've met. And I think after folks talk to you, they're going to understand why. You're a Master Chief. You're running to represent your community. IVA just endorsed you, but I want to start with the question I ask of everybody. Where are you, Eric, and how are you?
Where I am, as you know, I'm in California, Temecula. So again, I'm doing fine. The campaign's going great, and we're on track to make sure that we turn this seat and we win this seat for the residents of Temecula, California.
So tell folks who don't know your background, especially maybe start with your military background.
Yeah.
Who are you, and why did you decide to make this leap and run for elected office?
Well, again, I'm a young man coming straight out of Memphis, Tennessee, joined the United States Navy in '87, graduated, joined the Navy, did 27 years there, rose to the rank of, went from E1 to E9, Master Chief, about 18 to 19 years, had multiple commands up underneath my belt, and then transitioned out of the military, working for Kaplan University, working for running a CPOC for the VA San Diego healthcare system, and then working for the VA now with the Veterans Experience Office. Married to the beautiful and wonderful Cassandra Faulkner, 2 kids, 2 grown adults, I say. Kids mean you're still responsible financially for them, but they're grown adults now. So we have a grandchild, QJ, which my wife is back attending to now. While I'm running, I just think we can do better for our city. I was a commissioner for 4 years with the city and started to learn how the city runs, the staff, the city council, and really got really impassioned to actually put my foot forward to run for city council to make a difference for the residents of Temecula.
So, Eric, talk to us about being an independent. I've asked this of all the candidates. I'm going to ask you, why are you an independent, and how do you define independent?
Well, I'm independent because I've got tired of the social construct of both the political parties being the loudest voices in the room. And then being in the military, you can attest to this. It didn't matter who was in office; it always impacted us. When we have a government shutdown where E1s were sitting down there struggling to make ends meet and, cutting their checks off and, the impact on them as well. So the really construct of why, became independent was the fact that I saw both sides and I know there was an answer in the middle where neither side was going to meet. And I'm like, I want to be that middle person to bring both sides together and come up with the best ideals for our residents. And that's the reason I'm independent. Independent means that I am open to make my own decisions and open to bring people together at the table. If you got 6 things, you got 3 things you can agree with, you have 3 things, let's focus on the 6 things that we agree with to make things right for the people that we're supposed to be impacting and bettering their lives. So,
I mean, Eric, can you talk about Temecula City Council? You're running for district number 2, but for folks who aren't from the area, tell them about your community. What should they know about Temecula, and what are some of the issues that you're focused on there?
Yeah, so it's District 2. I have about 22,000 residents, about 11,000 to 12,000 registered voters here. So it's a pretty large district. We have over 110,000 residents that live in the city of Temecula. We're broken down into 5 districts, and some of the things I'm running on, again, I want to make sure we're safe and healthy in our community. Again, safe means we have fire and first responders and police that respond on target and on time. I want to make sure we have affordable housing or different housing elements to make sure that people can afford housing in safe spaces. And I want to make sure we continue to address the issues from a healthcare standpoint. Our people need to be educated on their health. And I'm a healthy guy. I work out. The military taught us that. But a lot of times people don't understand that you need to know your numbers. You need to know where you fall in and what do you need to do to correct that and how you stay healthy in your eating and things like that. So how do we get healthcare out of the walls and out into the community? So that's one thing. The next thing, I want a thriving and resilient economy, which means that, our taxpayers pay into the economy. They need to see the benefits of that money in the city. When you drive around the city, you should see great parks. You should see roads being taken care of. You should see trash being emptied. You should see the concerns of our residents being addressed by the money we put into the city. So, but I want to drive an economy to make sure we have a surplus to ensure that when we have disasters and things that go on, that we can take care of our residents here as well. And the last thing, I want inclusive services for everyone. If we're building something in our city, it needs to connect to every resident, not just a certain subset of the community. So how do we do that? We go listen to the voices of our people. We bring that back to the city, say we need to do better in these areas to make sure all residents can connect, and then we do that. So those are the things I'm running on to make better here in the city of Temecula.
You know, one of the reasons I've been inspired by you and I was excited to have you on the show is because you're a role model. You know, you come from the community, you served your country, you talk about your family, you're able to hold people accountable. But I think we need more role models in politics. And there's so much toxicity at the national level and so many issues that feel so remote. It's great to hear you talk about taxes, talk about roads, talk about safety, talk about education, which is an issue I feel like we really haven't heard from nationally. But you're also, you know, running against the system here, right? You're running as an independent, which is hard. You're running against a Republican named Jessica Alexander. Talk about who you're running against and what you're running against.
Yeah. So again, down at this level, it's supposed to be nonpartisan, right? This is a local level. This is not running for Senate, Congress, or anything like that. We're nonpartisan, which means your political affiliation doesn't matter. What we've had in our city the last 4 years is someone who's tried to turn democracy in the city to theocracy, meaning preaching out of the diocese to really try to focus our points on the things that her constituents that her constituents like in regards to what she should be putting forward. So it really is not a connection with all the residents, and some people are left behind because when you really focus on the specific subset of the community, there's so many different diverse backgrounds that you have to really connect with as city council because your responsibility is everyone. So really trying to bring that back, bringing unity back into this community, bring a level of respect for where people come from, making sure I can connect with everyone. I don't care in this position of nonpartisan, your political affiliation doesn't matter. Quality of life affects everyone, right? That's what we're responsible for, to make sure quality of life for our residents in this area are taken care of, not our personal agendas. It's not about you. It's about the people you're responsible for leading. You know, in the military, we knew that growing up. We led people from diverse backgrounds, some first time removed from their countries that they came, and some didn't even speak the language, but we were supposed to make sure we could connect with them, lead them. And that kind of transitions out in running for government, right? Knowing, understanding what people are. And if you don't understand, educating yourself to be a better leader for them. So that's what I'm running on. Why, I think I'm a better choice for the city to make.
So you're running against a Republican and she's got the party apparatus behind her. There's no Democrat in the race. Is that right? So it's just you versus her, right?
Correct. That's it. Yeah, me versus her. That's no other point of racing.
Lay it out for us. We've heard from different folks around the country. What's that like? What's that like not having, consultants, not having party bosses, not having the voter lists, all the other kind of tools and ground game that the other party has? What's that like as an independent?
Yeah, it was tough initially because I'm new to the game, right? So I'm trying to figure out who's who in the zoo and where the support's going to come from. And then I wasn't going to get it from the conservative side because she was a Republican in the race. I went to the Democrat side and said, based on our bylaws, we can't support you because you're an independent candidate. And I'm like, both sides, I'm not switching. I believe in where I'm at right now, just to get support. I'm not going to just identify myself as a political party just for support. So it was tough initially until Good Party came around supporting independence. That definitely helped me come up with the AI applications they're using and helping me from a distance to bridge the gap in between her and being able to support me locally. But my character and my integrity in the community and people that know me over the years have been highly supportive, have been the engine behind moving my campaign forward. So I've been catching up pretty good, and it's because of the support I've got from the people I've led, family and friends, and then an independent consultant type of organization that came in and said, hey, we got you. We have something for you. We can support you.
Eric, you're in a unique position as an independent. I think independents can be bridge builders and a lot of issues, and maybe one of the most pressing, acute, radioactive issues is immigration. Temecula, you're not that far from Tijuana, right? You're in Southern California, just north of San Diego. Can you talk about how immigration, migrants, this friction that's happening at the national level? Can you talk about what it looks like in your city and in your area?
Yeah, I could talk about it a little bit. We, from my perspective, being on the board, it hasn't been a situation that we've had talks about, because I mean it hasn't impacted Temecula. We're about an hour and a half, 2 hours from the border. San Diego County is getting more of the brunt of that because they're closer to the border. One of the concerns we have is the fentanyl issue coming across the border and controlling that. That is something that is running rampant through all communities. We've had kids, young people between the ages of 18 and about 35 that have died from fentanyl overdose just in our city. I mean, I'm not even talking about the other cities in the Inland Empire. So that is something that comes across the board, and something that we need to be concerned about, because it is something that impacts our community. But as far as being overwhelmed by immigrants and those that are coming across the border, it has not been something that's been very impactful in our cities, because we've been watching it, but making sure that we keep an eye on it and getting ahead of it. So I think the expectation is to continue to watch the situation and then put mitigating factors in place to ensure that we don't become overwhelmed as a city when that happens. So,
Eric, is it also you all are used to migration and used to being close to the border, and it's just a part of the complexion of what your community is like? I mean, you've got diversity there, you've got people from all backgrounds getting along. Is that also a part of it, where you guys on some levels are used to this and know how to do it in a way that's respectful and productive?
yeah, I think that's the case, because again, like I said, our community becoming very diverse, and it's not just Mexican Americans, but it's people coming from all different countries that are coming into the city, into the state. So, and again, providing opportunities and spaces for them to be able to thrive is something that I think the city does well. Not saying that we don't have our challenges. I'm digging into that to figure out what those challenges are. But I think we do a good job of mitigating it, making sure that we can take care of it and we have the resources around it. It hasn't been an issue that's come up like we are overwhelmed with migrants coming into our city. There's been some fear mongering in regards to migrants coming in and they're going to take over and do all these other things to your city and drive it down. I just haven't seen that. Our law enforcement on track. I see the numbers. Our numbers of crime is not above a level that we are really concerned about it. We know we have crime, and there's really minor things that are going on in our city that we need to get a control over. But I haven't seen the spike that, because of this fear mongering and things, that okay, immigrants and migration is killing our city. I don't see that. I see people coming and being respectful and doing what they need to do to make sure our city is strong. So
I think that's a really important perspective. It's the ground truth, right? I mean, we need folks like you to kind of cut through the bullshit when it seems like politicians and media folks are grandstanding, especially in your part of the country. Let me take it back to the race and ask you again. So you're up against, a partisan person. You're a dynamic guy, but what's your plan to win? How are you going to do this? There's no polling, I would imagine. How do
right,
you evaluate where the race is, and
right.
what's your strategy to win?
All right. So again, nonpartisan race that we're in right now. But my strategy to win was to get started early. Right. First strategy was get started early, because when you have somebody that's an income and has name recognition, you have to do everything you can try to catch up. So I knew I was behind. So I started early in January versus waiting later to get my accounts open, my bank account, to start bringing in funds to be able to fight this fight. And then it's been from there. It's just making sure, staying visible, hitting businesses, because the best way to connect with voters and those in your district, they got to see you. You can use volunteers, not use volunteers, but the connection between this one-on-one eye contact, me talking to someone, and they really getting who I am, what I stand for, and what I'm running for, really changes the narrative in regards to, okay, I think we have a better candidate. So I beat the street Monday through Friday personally myself, about 2 hours when I get off work, and then Saturday I go as long as I can. I am in this to win it, and I'm giving 1,000%. Social media plays into this, mailing plays into this, signs play into this. Every aspect of connecting with people, text messaging, phone banking. You really have to do it all. I mean, I know some of this is cost a little bit, but there's people out there that will help you bridge the gap in regards to trying to catch up. And I think I've done a good job. And the real good thing is I was already linked into the city anyway, being a commissioner. So I had name recognition because even in that, my military spirit drove me to attend every event the city put on. I was there. I attended more events than most of the city council did. So I made sure, and it was before I was running. I wanted to make sure if you hire me for something and you assign me to do something, we as military and veterans, we're going to do it better than anybody, right? We're going to have the energy and the drive to show you that no one's going to outwork us. And that's what I've been showing. She's not going to outwork me. Whoever I run against won't outwork me. I mean, then we have to see if that correlates to votes. But I know when November 5th comes, I'm not going to look back and say Eric didn't give it all, even if even if the vote swings another way. They're going to know that Eric gave 1,000% to win this seat. And I think it takes that, and you can never lose sight of that. Even if you're in a seat and you're an incumbent running again, you got to remember when you, like in the military, don't forget when you were the E1, when you had to square yourself away or whatever. Never lose that thought process, because you still should be looking at your uniform, making sure your ribbon is squared away, making sure it's ironed and properly worn. From E1 all the way up to E9. And that's the way I carried myself in the military. And that's the way I carry myself in anything I attach my name to.
It comes through, man, your work ethic and your professionalism. I mean, the campaign slogan could be, hey, vote for the Master Chief. He's going to square you away. He's going to square us away, right? You can feel that. Let me ask you this, Eric. This is a tough question, but I've asked everybody this. You're the first candidate we've had on since Joe Biden, I believe, stepped down, out of the race. Are you going to endorse Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or anybody else for president?
Well, you know what? Here's my feel on that. And it may not be an answer anybody wants. I like my vote being personal because it's a personal vote for me to make a decision between the two. I can tell you, I'm leaning more towards Kamala Harris and Waltz because of when I lay them down side by side and look at the impact they can have on us going forward and bringing people together, not dividing. I only see one choice there. And again, so I'm a guy that evaluates policy, line it up side by side. But there's no doubt that right now, for me, it leans towards Kamala Harris and Waltz for my vote.
I appreciate you answering it, because some folks have kind of punted on that one, and I think people need to know, not so much even the choice you're going to make, but that you're willing to make hard choices, because being in leadership is about making hard choices. So I really respect the fact that you're willing to answer that question. Normally I ask people, if they're going into Congress, for example, who they'll caucus with, but I assume the way the city council is made up, you don't really have to caucus, right? You guys are there as a group, and I don't know how many members are on the city council total?
Five members.
Five. And do you know what the makeup is right now between Republicans and Democrats? And are there other independents at all on the city council?
No independents on the city council. And I think that's one Democrat, 3 Republicans.
So, I mean, I think it's important for folks who are listening from around the country to know, this is not just about the locality. It is, but it's also about having independents representing and kind of establishing a foothold on behalf of all the independents around the country. And you're a leader that's going to be around a long time, Eric. I'm really excited to have met you. IVA endorsed you and 9 other candidates last week on 9/11. Folks can see more about that at Independent Veterans of America. But I ask everybody this question: what if you don't win? How are you going to stay involved? Do you have a path or a vision for what you're going to do if you don't win this race to keep this movement and this momentum that you've created going?
Well, so to tell you the truth, I've learned a lot in this process. If I win, it's great for me. I lose, it's still great for me. Because again, losing doesn't change my wife, my kids, my grandbaby. And then I go look at my bank account. Guess what? It's still the same. I didn't lose anything from it. So I'm good in that way. But we're going to win this seat, and we're going to win this election. But I plan on staying actively. I'm going to take a break and spend time with the family, because this takes a lot. I'll tell you, if people think this is easy and it's for the regular person, you got to really think about running for politics. Even at the local level, it becomes very and passion from one side. The attacks that are going to come, you got to be prepared for that. But even after this is I'm going to use this platform to let people know you should not have fear. If you have the passion to run, here are the steps to do it. So I'm creating this journal to help people locally. Hey, I know you're scared. I know there's fear. But guess what? We need great people running for these offices. If we don't, we're going to get what we have. So you've got to, step up. Ask the question. If not you, then who? Because I kept asking my question. I tried to put this off, man. I was like looking in the mirror every day. It's like, and the mirror kept coming back. Eric, I'm looking around this community, man. If not you, then who? We're going to continue the same old politics if you don't. So that's what got me in. That's what got me involved. And then I got the yes from my wife. Once I got the yes from her, it was all in, man. But continue to just again push the issues and concerns of our residents forward, and continue to just work in this independent space, because I think that's where this country's going. I look at the independent numbers here locally, no party preference numbers here locally. They're rising at a dramatic rate. People are understanding we need to. If everybody moves independent, non-party preference, we can get rid of this two-party system. And then guess what? What happens when it goes away? Then people can feel comfortable voting where they want to vote and not worrying about, if I vote this way, the Democrats are not going to support me. If I vote this way, the Republicans are not going to support me. Now you can vote the right person in office, man. It takes away these layers of concern from people who want to go over and say, hey, you got a good program, I'm going to vote for it. Now you got this behind the scenes, a Democrat going to Republican office. Hey, man, you got a good program. But guess what? When I go out here when I go out here and out in front of everybody, I can't vote for it. But I'm just letting you know you got a good dream. But I can't lose my constituents, so I'm going to vote my side. So that goes back and forth, and then they come in front and then they vote against the policy. I'm just tired of it. I think we can do better if we have people, give the people the ability to vote just based on the person, the character, their body of work, and what they've done. So because we can see there's people in office, man. You look at their body of work, you ain't did anything. How did you win the seat? And then on the other side, you got this people with a long laundry list of impact, community service, leadership that loses that race. How does it doesn't make sense. But I understand the vote is the vote, and I respect everyone's vote. Many people have died to ensure we secured that vote. And I just want people to the main thing is just get out and vote, evaluate the two candidates or however many candidates you have in your race, and then go vote and make sure you make your vote count. So I appreciate that question.
Well, I appreciate you, and you are a servant leader. You've served this country and your community for your whole life. You're an example. You're kind of the beating heart of this independent movement. I think I tell folks, the action is not RFK Jr. It is guys like you. It's Eric Faulkner in Temecula, California. You are the beating heart of this movement, and you are the future of this movement. And leadership requires sacrifice, and you continue to sacrifice. And I want to tell everybody who's listening, if you're in Temecula City, vote for Eric Faulkner. If you're not, donate to Eric Faulkner. We'll link to his campaign in the show notes. It's on the Independent Veterans of America website. He was recently endorsed along with 9 others. Support Eric Faulkner. He is the kind of leader that America needs, and we got to have his back. So thank you for being on with us. I hope you'll keep checking in. We're going to be rooting for you and try to amplify you as much best we can, because a Master Chief can square it away. Vote for the Master Chief. He'll square us. Appreciate all you do, sir. Best to your family, and stay vigilant.
Thanks. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.